So I wasn't allowed to go to the States because of my record. So I had to go through another visa process that took 6 months.
Shit.
This is just before the pandemic.
Yeah. Oh, you're recording already?
You want us on?
Yeah, why not? I don't mind. Yeah, man. I couldn't. So I was supposed to go to Florida for a conference, and this was supposed to take place in August 2020. 2020 being the year of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But like I've never been able to just straightforward go to the States, obviously because of my criminal record. So I had to go through another visa process which took 6 months. I had to apply. I had to get these documents, which is basically my rap sheet, criminal record. Send that over to the embassy. Go to the embassy in Battersea. Go for an interview process. They had to do all of these checks.
That's a myth.
It's like, bro, it's so long, and I still haven't been to the States because 2020 was the year of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So all the flights and everything cancelled. The program got cancelled.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I've got these paperwork with me today or in person.
Yeah.
That's what I needed it for.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Nah, man, you're gonna fly out, man, soon. Hopefully. Also, you move a bit closer as well.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, man. Listen, it's good to have you back.
Appreciate it.
I feel like today we'll just touch on some important points. Obviously, there's a couple of things we want to talk about as well. There's a couple of things I want to talk about. But yeah, since you've been here, like last time, like how's things been for you, anyways, and what you've been up to?
Yeah, it's been busy. Obviously, like the last podcast and everything we did, like that was amazing. I loved it. Obviously, off camera, like we chop it up all the time.
Yeah.
But
it's actually one of my favorite episodes as well. Like I've got I know people I shouldn't really do favorites, but I've got maybe top 10, 15, so it's within there. So
that's big, man. Appreciate that. I remember when I posted, I think it was one of the clips that we did, and you was talking about marriage. One of my close boys, he was laughing so much. He said, "Leo's funny." I was like, yeah. Because that was good stuff, man. Like, and
the one I was talking about, just to prove their stats wrong, innit?
Yeah. That was funny.
Now a lot of people laughed at that one.
A lot of people did. But yeah, like I've been checking like all of you guys' stuff and what you've been doing since. Like it's just amazing. Just getting people with unique perspectives on everything. Yeah,
but you too as well. I think I've seen you was doing like a talk or something somewhere. It looked quite prestige, man.
Yeah, so that was it the most recent thing? I
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
because I didn't get to see what the talk was.
Yeah. Because it was just like a reel, but that was because I'm a co-chair of. It's called the Race Equity Network, and they host Black History Month events for the month every year. That was the opening event that we did at City Hall. Yeah, which was it's big.
Sick, man.
Yeah, so I was privileged to be able to host it for the night. We had different people coming. We had dancers, like a young dance group. We had authors and all kinds of people. I think the deputy mayor was there as well. The deputy mayor was there. I don't think.
Yeah, that's serious, man.
Yeah.
That's a big event.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, I like that, man. And have you seen have you watched any of Kanye West interviews recently? Bro, before we get into serious topics, and I just want to touch on that.
Yeah, let's touch on it.
Yeah, I want to touch on that real quick.
Yeah, Kanye's. Do you know what it is? Yeah, I've always known his brand has been to start controversy because that's what causes him to sell. Like he's always been that person, but he's now crossed the line. And it's like I don't know who's in his circle to advise him and who he would listen to know when to quit.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, it's really weird. It's like unless we know him in person, it's really difficult to tell if he's trolling.
Yeah.
If he's serious, if he's if he's a genius, it's really difficult to tell. But you know what? Yeah, I watched his interviews. One biggest thing that stood out for me is that he kept talking about there's all these different entities and parties behind how the world is structured and how it functions, regardless of what industry it is, whether it's music, whether it's fashion. It's the way he was talking about, it's there's all these people there that are trying to get profits and they will play these games in society and make things look in a certain way. That stood out for me a lot. He mentioned that quite a bit. And you know what it is? And it was funny because he was quite open about it as well. You mentioned a couple names as well. Who's that guy? Something Kusha, what's his surname?
Okay, I can't recall.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't paying too much attention to that other guy's name, but it's. But at the same time, I'm listening to him. He's a bit there's a whole thing of I don't know if he's if he's a genius or if he's like mentally not well. I can't tell.
So it's a thin line.
Yeah.
Very thin line. And I knew it was that because of the way he was treating his family, Ian, Kim, and the kids. The way he's, of course, he is in the public light, but there's a level of discretion you can have about things.
What if he's misunderstood?
Oh, he's 100% misunderstood, but he doesn't help his cause.
But that's what I'm saying, because I think sometimes some people, because you know what it is, like, who decides like what mental health is anyways in first place? Obviously there's a clear definition for it that's defined by certain professionals and all of that stuff. But just in general, it's like if you imagine like another world that we're living in, it's like who decides what that means? It's like, you know, like a human being is a human being, right? It's just the thinking process is entirely different. Yeah, that's what it means. It's like when someone's like not well, it's like the thinking is very alien to the regular thinking.
I was actually talking to someone about it recently. I was talking to Steve about it.
What about the Ye thing?
Huh?
But the Kanye, the mental health.
Yeah. So if I said, someone was just dancing butt naked in the street, we'll call them mentally ill, but I'll call them mentally different. Because this is a very different perspective. Because it's like, for me and my society, we look at a person thinking, you're doing something that's not normal to me. But in their world, that's normal. In their world, that's normal.
Yeah, it's just their world is not common. It's like it's not regular.
And the majority, the majority is now normal.
I guess it is a question of what's acceptable morally and like in terms of the standards, because somebody would see somebody dancing in like your situation, dancing naked, and in their world it's normal, but it's lewd, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what is moral? How would you define the word moral?
I think there is a range of ethics that people subscribe to. So, for example, you might make your decisions based on what keeps everybody happy. So if I don't know, you're in a work situation and somebody didn't stick to the policy rules, you might turn a blind eye to them doing that because you don't want to rock the boat too much. You don't want to upset people. But somebody might say, if you break the rules, then everybody else is going to break the rules. So I have to make an example of you to stop that from happening. So there's so many different ways everybody has their ethics and bases that on.
So a moral, essentially what I'm getting from that is a moral is an unwritten rule that is followed by a majority.
I don't know if it's unwritten. I think there is a standard, let's just say it's a standard of principles that people adhere to. Whether it's written or not, it's debatable, because somebody might follow a religious moral, or somebody might not follow so much of a religious moral, but more a moral based on the common good of people and just like what's universally accepted.
So can we agree that its life depends on the amount of people that follow it? Like a moral obligation or a moral belief system, it will only ever live if there are people that believe it.
I think it's not about belief. I think it's about fear. I think and do you know what it is? That's the feeling I've been getting a lot lately. It's like I feel like people do things out of fear. So like the whole society is structured on fear. So for example, if someone's on live TV, they might want to say something entirely different, but they're scared to say it because they don't want to get cancelled or whatever it is. But you know what? You know what's really interesting, and I've been paying a lot of attention to all these different industries in media and whatever. It's like they'll come on and pretend to be a certain person, and off camera they're completely different person. It's the whole thing is just completely fake, but it's like we know it. So it's like, what is the point of upkeeping the whole thing? Yeah. And it's like, can we actually build something that's authentic rather than something where people go pretend and use professionalism as a kind of like as the excuse to pretend. Yeah, because I think that's usually the excuse, and it's like, oh, you have to stay professional, but actually, professional means fake.
You know what's kind of fascinating? We talk about authenticity a lot, right? We talk about being authentic or being true to ourselves and whatnot. I kind of had this kind of epiphany. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it so that you understand what I mean by it. Authenticity is you being your true self, right? And our true selves are a mathematical equation, or is an equal signs after the environment. So we are a product of our environment. So if our environment creates us to be a certain kind of way and we follow that certain kind of way, we are being authentic because we're being authentic to ourselves. It's just ourself isn't matching me, for example. I try to go against the norm. So that's my authentic self, me going against them. Whereas if I see someone following the norm, that is their authentic self because they have allowed themselves to be a product of their environment, which isn't a good or bad thing. It's just, it is still authentic. So it's like I'm trying to understand, because I have been saying this word a lot, and even like Black Man the Traveller loves saying that word, authentic, raw, all that stuff. And the more I say a word, the less I understand it. So now like I want to take a step back and think, what does authenticity actually mean? Have I now used it so much that I misdefined it? Because that's something I would do a lot. Like I'll use a word so many times that I would misdefine it eventually. Yes.
Do you lot think that perfectionism is the enemy of authenticity?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I say that because I've come from being that kind of perfectionist, having that mindset. I think it's come because of, in my life anyway, I think it's because of the discipline and the standards that I have been trained with in my house, because my dad's a very disciplined man. He's one of the most disciplined men that I know. Everything has to be clean, spotless, like he's very precise with things. Even the way like he arranges the house and everything, like that's what I've grown up to know. And obviously, being a child, you have that duality. We're talking about authenticity, right? In your identity. So when you're with your family, you're one person, but when you're with your friends or when you're outside, you're another person. So then you have that complex of being perfect because you know your parents are raised you and they're expecting you to be this. Yes, auntie, hi auntie, I'm fine. Yeah, God is good. Yeah, all of that stuff. Yeah. But then when you're outside with your brethren, you're like,
it's like, different.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, like that whole perfectionism thing, it plays a part because when you're at school, you know you're with the man them doing whatever and you're not getting the grades, and it's like in your head you're thinking, oh my days, my parents are gonna think, what are they gonna think? Da, da, da. So yeah, it's definitely the enemy of being authentic. Definitely.
Well, let's talk about you, man, because obviously there's a couple of things I want to touch on today, and I think stories in general and like stories of people and where they come from, I think it's a beautiful thing to explore in first place because that's someone else's universe in general. So yeah, just like I think the three things that you mentioned, and you said in a certain way, I really liked it. You said your personal story of growth and transformation, and you used three words in particular. You said grief, violence, and redemption. So yeah, let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Wait,
I feel like an interviewer, bro. So yeah, let's get into that, bro.
Right? It's crazy. Grief, that's a difficult one. It's a big one as well. Because for a lot of people, grief is something that is individual and it's unique for everybody. That's one thing I've come to learn. No matter the circumstances, everybody deals with it in a different way. But you'll be so intrigued to see how that actually shapes your life and the life decisions that you make. So for me, I remember like one of the biggest wake-up calls, not the first, but one of the biggest, was when I lost my dear cousin, Carl. Now, he wasn't just an ordinary person. Like, out of all of us growing up, like, we were all of us are talented. All of us are very musical as well. But he was able to kind of be the first to pivot into a lane that was completely different from all of us. And it was like a bit of a shock because he was doing club nights and all this stuff. And, you know, his parents are preachers. Like, so that's not what's expected of your son. Like, they're supposed to be the good example. But he's out mashing up the raves, mashing up the dances and everything. And like, even just from that, he was also doing acting as well. So he was on, what's it, MI High? Do you remember MI High?
Ooh, what's old school?
Yeah. He was on MI High. You know, child actor, child prodigy, all of that stuff. So like his trajectory was to go on and be one of those, you know, superstars in that respect. But his life was tragically cut short after a gig that he had in Vauxhall. He was stabbed. One shot to the heart and that was it. Ended him. And nobody expected that. Like, I remember how old I was. I was like 17, 18. I was 17 when that happened. Just going into college, sixth form. He was in university. He had one of the biggest funky house tunes, mashing up the dances. I remember like everywhere it was going off. Bow at the bar. No, you're on top. Bow at the bar. Like when funky house was really big in the UK scene. And it was like, for a lot of us, we didn't really understand it because like our understanding at the time was that nothing evil to that extent was going to happen to any of us. Like it was unthought of because even though we're outside, we always had in our head that like we're covered because we know our parents pray a lot. Our parents are very spiritual. So whatever, somehow, some way, we're going to be protected. That's just what was in our heads. So we would go anywhere and do anything. We had the confidence of that. And knowing what was happening in that time in London, like it was a big shock. So for me, a lot of my life decisions was kind of based around that trauma, and I didn't really understand it. I think I adopted it as being my why for a lot of the things that I was doing in my time. But one of the things that struck me the most was the fact that I had also been stabbed. I was stabbed first. I was 14 when I got stabbed. I got stabbed right here. I still got the mark till today. And that was in a context where it was different for his, because he wasn't so much of a, doing the road like that, as people want to say it on the streets. But I was. And so in my head, you could say, oh, maybe it was karma or something. You got caught up because you was living that life. But I didn't die. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't die. So that was the question that was in my head. Like, how comes I didn't die, but he died? And he was promising, like he was on the way to greatness. So for me, for years, that grief was there. But it didn't come to my awareness in the sense of maybe you need to talk about these sort of things or deal with it internally. And I think all of my family, like all of us, and they all know who they are, we all dealt with it in a different way. And I don't think we really collectively maybe came to a peace with it. Maybe we have now, but yeah, so like grief, it's like obviously as you mature and you grow, you see how these things actually impact your life.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think a lot of the times the impact is everlasting. And also like sometimes I feel like as people, like I've held on to certain things, like I've lost people as well, and I felt like it kind of lingered on for time, and sometimes subconsciously as well without even realizing it. Because I think what happens is like the impact comes later. Sometimes obviously it comes instantly, but sometimes it's just ongoing thing. We learn what it does to us later on, later down the line.
Someone I saw this. I think it must have been an Instagram post. You really know how I feel about these Instagram quotes. Bullshit. But this one actually was really interesting. He said, if your life hasn't ended yet, it means your story hasn't ended yet, and every story has a happy ending. So like if you had like the lowest and you're fucking everything's crazy and whatever, it means this is the best part of the story. Because like this is from a viewer's perspective, we want to see the protagonist down. That means because the ending is even better. Yeah. And it gets me thinking about death, and it's like I guess the beauty of religion is they believe in the post-credit scene. You know, there's post-credit scenes in Marvel and whatever. Yeah. They believe in the post-credit scene in life, which is afterlife and whatever. Like that little scene after the death. That's what afterlife is. So it's kind of interesting. It's, I mean, having a religion, I'm pretty sure you're Christian. Yeah. So you believe in the afterlife. You believe that when your cousin did pass, he had his post-credit scene, which was the heaven and the whatnot, which was fascinating. It's like gets me thinking, like about the whole living your life and life as a story, and how the happy ending has not arrived yet until you're dead. That's what the happy ending is, and then you got the post-credit scene stuff as well. It's a nice belief like thing to believe in. Yeah.
But also there's this thing of like, it's not here physically, and this is how I look at it as well. It's like the people I lost are not here physically, but they're still with me. You know what I'm saying? It's like certain things that I do is because of them and for them, and I carry like parts of them within myself.
You die twice.
Because the close people that we interact with in general, like they shape us as well. It's like absolutely. We learn certain things from them, and they learn certain things from us, and we carry bits of each other within us. And for me personally, that's something that's an outlet that gave me peace within within that kind of area.
You die twice, right? You die when your body fails, and you die when the memory's gone. And that second one takes a long.
That's powerful.
That second one takes a long time to go, man.
Yeah.
When the memory's gone, that's when you're fully gone. But it's gonna take a while.
Yeah. And the memory can always be passed on. Like
that's what I'm saying. That's why it takes so long. That's why I guess that's why I love what I do with the whole filming, because it prolongs the memory. Like Hitler died, or not Hitler. Sorry, give me someone more powerful.
He was powerful.
Yeah, not powerful as in like positively.
Sorry, just a quick side note. Yeah, have you not seen that video of him tweaking on some drugs?
What's that?
Who, Hitler?
Yeah.
Go again.
Is this like
I think it was on like amphetamine or something. Yeah, his footage. He's actually sitting there and it's got all this like army around him. He's in like watching some kind of show or something. It's like this. It's like this guy was nuts.
I'm googling that.
Yeah, I'll be so interested.
Yeah, I'll show it to you after.
And also, like someone like Martin Luther King or Muhammad Ali or whatever. These people died a long time ago, but the memory will never die.
Yeah, like so look, there's certain people from history that's passed away thousands of years. Thousands of years.
They're still not dead.
Yeah.
They're still not dead. The memory's still here.
They're still alive.
What's that? The Chinese leader, is it Xu Sun?
Yeah, the art of war
The
guy,
art of war
innit?
guy,
Yeah.
butchered his name. Sorry to
Oh,
my Chinese
oh yeah,
friends.
Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah,
it,
yeah. Like legends never die.
But do you know what to ask as well? Yeah, like how do you feel like what's your relationship with death? And do you feel like obviously it's changed you, but like in what way did it change you from like losing people from a young age like till now? Because I'm sure like you still lost people like when you got older as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I feel like, you know, it's a weird thing to say, but I feel like as we get older, we lose more people. Because, you know, like, that's what it, you know, that's what happens to people die unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Some people lose their life and, you know, like, it happens.
Yeah.
Some people die naturally,
And I think that's the difficult part is the unexpected death. And I don't know if, well, everybody's different, but is that preparation for the separation of somebody in this life? How do you prepare for it?
But that's the thing. But should we expect the unexpected in a way? Because like, you know, the whole thing of the whole conversation of like giving people the flowers. So people say, oh, people only get the flowers when they pass away, and they should get it while they're alive. And I think that's the thing of like they're expecting the unexpected. Like I know I could die tomorrow, but I know someone could die tomorrow. And it's just constantly remembering that, and then maybe like living the life slightly differently on a day-to-day basis because of that, or like talking to people differently because of that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think for me, especially let me start with Ghanaian culture, because Ghanaian culture, we celebrate death. I could say it's probably on par with, or if not higher in ranking than a lot of other, you know, life moments like birth, marriage. Funerals is a huge thing, and it's especially in Ashanti culture. I'm Ashanti, so and I've been to Kumasi and I've seen it. Like they have billboards of the dead, and they say this is the person when they died and when they lived. They do big celebrations, like big ceremonies for the funerals, and it's like it can almost freak you out a little bit, but it's more of a celebratory nature.
I like that.
It's very, very, very celebratory, that you've passed on to the next life. And for me, I think I've accepted the fact that life is finite, and that has helped me to see everything with a better perspective. And this has only come in like the last 5 years of growth and understanding of who I am as a person and what this existence is, what it means to me. So definitely I don't know. For example, I know what my loved ones are going to pass one day, and I can't fully say how I'm going to react to that, but I've prepared myself for that because I know that our lives are finite. You know, we're not going to keep living forever. And so I have to value you now. I have to love you now. I have to do what I can now. And I think I'm doing that a lot more. And that, I think that's just the best I can do.
Yeah, I think without people taking out context, I think death is beautiful. Obviously, I'm not saying like sudden death is beautiful, and I'm not saying people killing people is beautiful. I'm just saying death in general I think is beautiful because it's that thing of like it gives meaning to life. Like life isn't life if death didn't exist. Because then what's life? It's eternity. Then it becomes it's not life anymore. It's eternity. Because life means temporary. I think that's the meaning of life, right? It's temporary. Like every single thing's temporary.
Is death the enemy though? Because I remember watching I saw a clip from a Robbie Williams. Robbie or Robin? What's the guy?
Robbie. There's two.
Yeah, there's two. Yeah, I'm the genie guy.
So the actor.
Flubber. Yeah, the actor.
American one, yeah.
Died. Yeah.
That's Robin. He killed himself.
Robin, yeah.
No, he didn't. He died, but he didn't kill himself. I don't know.
There was one that killed himself.
Robin, yeah, Robin.
Did he kill himself?
Yeah. The one that makes Doubtfire. That one.
Yeah, the actor. Yeah.
He killed himself. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but I didn't know that.
I was gonna say he's gonna land differently now.
No. I liked him a lot, man. I never thought that. Like even like Avicii or whatever. Anyway,
Robbie Williams is the singer.
Yeah, the Candy guy. Yeah. So Robin Williams talking in a movie, and he asked the question, "Why is death the enemy?" Like, why is death the enemy? Like, is death the enemy? No, it's not. It can't be the enemy. Because death would only ever give you good. From both who have done it, experienced it, shall I say, and those who have experienced it from a different set of eyes. So, like, if death is the enemy, why does it give good?
That's an interesting perspective. What do you think about that? You agree?
You know what? Yeah, I don't I think death is just one of those things that it is what it is. As in, there's something that happens, and I feel like I'm more interested in how people like receive it, or like that's why I asked you earlier. So, what's your relationship with death? Because every single person's got a relationship with it, and I think there's nothing wrong with the most common relationship that people have, which is like, you know, like be sad and whatever. But then sometimes I think about certain things like, what would that person that passed away want me to do? You know, would they want me to be happy? Would they want me to be sad? And so most of the time, like actually, they probably want me to be empowered most of the time. And if they don't, that'd be weird, isn't it? So I think that's kind of where I sit with it, anyways.
Fair enough.
Can we segue back to you?
Okay, cool.
Because I know there's a couple of other things you wanted to touch on. So, so you got stabbed when you was 14.
Yeah.
Then later on, you lost your cousin. Then what was the? Because I feel like you had like a segue of adversities in your life that you turned into something that became positive later on. What was like the next adversity after that? Let's say that played the biggest like part and impact.
So as we said, stabbed at 14. Lost my cousin at 17, 18.
But sorry, can I just say something before you carry on with this?
Sure.
Yeah. So I got my own personal belief in it. Like I don't believe that we are the experiences. I feel like we experience certain things in life, and also just wanted to go back on labeling. So just to be clear as well, with everything that you're saying and how I feel about it, just in general, I feel like, you know, when people say, oh, like let's say someone says I'm a rapper or whatever, especially like if they're coming from like a black background as well. Like to me, those are just labels, innit? Because I always look at people that are more than that, or the more than the experience. So like, you know, like if you're gonna say, oh, I went to prison, whatever, like you're more than that. That's just an experience you had.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm trying to say? So that's just wanted to make that
and
clear.
I appreciate that. That's so important because I hate labels. You are not your past. Like, you can't define yourself like that. Even coming from a black background, like we're more than the slavery. It's Black History Month, right? We're more than that. So just to add to that as well, to kind of explain where it's coming from. So I work in a charity as well, and a lot of the times I meet like, let's say, funders or whatever, they always give that story of like there's a black child that's involved in crime or whatever, and that kind of pisses me off because number one, if that's the narrative we're going to keep talking about, that's gonna basically be the reality in first place. Number two, actually, they're none of those things. Those are just labels and stories people made up about who they are. But they're more than that. They're just as capable, as intelligent. They can accomplish anything they want to do. They can become doctors, whatever it is. It's just this whole narrative about like helping certain demographic of what was the new term that they're using now? BAME. Yeah, BAME. Like, there's all these different like labels and and I think people are just like, I feel like this country or like the government's kind of like obsessed with like labels and shit. So, but that's where I'm coming from basically. And I deal with that on a regular basis and it just drives me nuts. I can imagine. Yeah, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. But rightly like you said. And I'm an example of that. And that's why my faith in God is so strong, because he can take somebody that's been in those contexts. Maybe you have a speech impediment. Maybe you've been involved in criminality. Maybe you've got a disability, something. But he can take you for who you are and make you into a lawyer, into a doctor, into an accountant, into a superstar. He can make you into anything, you know. And you have that power within yourself as well, by making the transformation, and it's a process. So for me, I've had to go through that process with the help of so many good people around me, because no man's an island. And for me, I've seen, when I look back at my life, I've seen the checkpoints and I've seen those wake-up calls constantly, you know, at 14. You know, how did that happen? What was going on? You almost lost your life. Wake up call. And then
did you learn from that later on though, or was it
100% later on? 100% later on.
It wasn't there and then. It's like you didn't really see it like that. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It's crazy because I remember when that happened, my brother, who is one of like the most solid people in my life, throughout all my life, and our relationship has gone through so many phases, but he's actually been with me in so many of these critical and crucial moments. I remember, and he told me this not too long ago. We was having a discussion about like how far we've come and the things that we've experienced. And I remember he said when I was in the hospital after that happened, because he was livid, and he kind of gathered who the people were, and like he was saying how the guys that was hanging out with the man and whatever were ready to go ride out and retaliate. And I said to him in the hospital, whatever you're thinking, I didn't have knowledge of this. I didn't know he was going to do this. This has come out. And then I said to him, whatever you're thinking of doing, don't do it. And he stopped and he just thought to himself. And this at this time, he's in the hospital. Everybody's all ready to go out and retaliate. And he said, all right, cool. And I didn't know this until like years later that this is what happened, and he didn't do it. And it's like, that's why for me, I've adopted and come to realize that life isn't a zero-sum game. It's not about who's winning and who's losing. And that's the mentality a lot of the times within young people. And even just in general, people feel like you have to lose for me to win. And it's like, I'm taking from you to add to mine, and all of this competitive stuff in the space of life. And it's not supposed to be like that. You know, if we could just allow our egos and just allow a higher understanding of love and forgiveness, so many things will be avoided. So that happened. And then, of course, 17, 18, lost my cousin. And then later on, I ended up with my brother serving a sentence in prison. The same guy that's been with me throughout all of this stuff.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy. Yeah, we was in Feltham, we was in Highdown, we was in Reading, sharing the same cell. They never separated us. They kept us together.
That's your older brother.
My older brother. Yeah, and it's funny because even though we're similar in age, like he's maybe a year and a bit older than me. Yeah, that was my big brother. So I used to look up to him a lot of the time. And there's certain things that he would shield me from that he was getting involved with. And I was thinking, oh man, I want to be with all the cool guys out there. Because this is what we used to glamorize. We used to glorify all of this stuff. We see it and be like, yeah, I want to be, because that was kind of the aspiration.
You know what's mad? It's like when you get older and you start looking at the whole like structure of how like the roles are structured and stuff, it's actually like I think there's two different conversations. I think number one is like people that, for example, like they sell drugs and whatever, like that's different because I see that as a sort of like as a way to generate income and all of that stuff. You know, I'm not gonna justify or not justify. Forget all of that stuff. But then people that end up like beefing other people from different areas, and people get caught up in this circle of like someone kills someone else, then they're trying to kill someone else from the other side, and it's just, and it kind of goes back and forth. Like I think that there is something completely different. And I don't know, man, it's really sad to see in general. And I think, and the point I was trying to make is like when we get older, like I don't know if you look at it, like I look at it and I just think it's so stupid and it's just so like ignorant. I think ignorance is the right word because people don't know no better until they get older. They don't. It's ignorance.
It's a very dysfunctional mentality. For us, even growing up, we never really aligned up. Well, because we were so affiliated with everybody in South London because of who our cousins were, and the batch that we used to, like our friendship group, had so many cousins from so many different areas in South, across South London, who were actually the main guys in that area. So we couldn't just say, oh yeah, I'm going to be this lot and we're going to be that. We couldn't do that because we were so cool with everyone, do you know what I'm saying? And we weren't really trying to be representing postcodes like that, even though we had the affiliations and maybe we might, you know, throw a flag or throw a sign or whatever because we were so cool with people. So we couldn't really involve in that. But obviously you still get caught up, and it's just a sad reality.
Yeah, it happens, man. It's like there's there's the whole thing of like people get jealous or like someone's setting someone up, and it gets
crazy. And then you have to ask yourself, well, generationally this stuff continues, and it's like, well, did you even know why they're beefing? Like, do you actually know why? It's like it's so silly.
It's kind of it's learned and inherited, and yeah, man, it's kind of sad, man. It's kind of sad, and I think the other side of part is that it's not just this country. It's like it happens all over the world. Yeah. And it's a cult. It's actually a culture. If you think about it, it's a culture. It's a culture that's learned. It's a culture that's promoted. You know, it's like the whole like music industry is promoting it. Yeah. Even the film industry does it, and it's done on different levels, and in different cultures, like you're saying. So you've got black culture that has that segment of its culture where but then you've also got
Asian culture where they have it with like triads and you know
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And then you got it with white culture. They got it with mafia and the Irish and all of
Yeah,
the stuff is
yeah.
everywhere. And you see it in the films. It's really glamorized.
Yeah, it
Godfather,
happens. It happens in all kinds of backgrounds.
You know,
yeah.
what's it? The greatest film ever, Godfather. Like everybody loves this gang stuff, violence.
Do you know what though? Yeah, have you watched Sopranos before?
I've watched a couple episodes, but I didn't follow it fully.
So Sopranos is my show, yeah. But just you know what I liked about it, yeah. In general, yeah, not the mafia shit and the killing shit, because obviously like it's glamorized in a certain way in the TV. In real life, is very different. But there's certain values that you've got. Like mafia's got certain values of like loyalty, trust, and that's something that kind of like the world has been lacking of as we kind of move forward more and more. It's like it's kind of like it's much more difficult to come by real people and people that are authentic, people that speak their mind, and people that are honest. It's just it feels like it's becoming more of a rare thing to even have.
100%. And you find community in that. Because I used to like when I used to hang around, and I love all of these guys. I still stay in touch with a lot of them. Obviously we're not doing the same stuff because we've matured and we grow, but these are like, this is your tribe, you know, these are the people that when things happen, like you're getting stabbed, you're coming together to look after each other. So it's not, we're fighting you because you rep that block. No, my brother had to defend me because he's almost lost his brother. So it's like, we're not organizing ourselves to be part of, we're organizing ourselves because we have loyalty to each other. We care for each other. We want to look out for each other. Yeah, we want to have fun, but the reality is when you're outside in certain environments, there's jealousy. There's people that, you know, maybe for some reason, you know, you just don't see eye to eye, and somebody's trying to test you. They're trying to test your character or test it. Oh, is he really gonna, you know, defend himself? And it's like you have to navigate yourself in that environment, and you don't know any better. None of us at that age knows. Let your ego go. None of us does.
Let your ego. Let your ego go.
Ego.
Let your ego.
I like that one.
Yeah. So moving forward, yeah. So when did you have the transition of like, I'm going to turn my life around?
I'd say when I was in prison in Reading, because unfortunately I couldn't go to university. All my friends were off at university. I was locked up. So I didn't get to experience that. I didn't get to go down that path and, you know.
But you could have went after though, innit?
I could have went afterwards, but at that age, I knew I had to kind of grow quickly. So I went straight into an apprenticeship and did accountancy. That's how I landed in finance. Because I saw that as a route to, I guess, proving to myself, but also trying to repair the damage that I did to the reputation of so many people. I thought, yeah, this is what I've got to do. Or that was one of the lanes that I thought I had to go down. So I think that was definitely the transition moment. For me, that was like one of the transition moments.
Then, so what you started doing first? Like you got into finance and then
so I came out, was looking for a course to do an apprenticeship. It's called AAT, and I signed up at Connell College, and it's in North London, around Tottenham. They accepted me, thankfully, and I started studying, and then I got my first job working at a SME company, startup.
Sick.
So that was like, things started moving. And I thought, I'm just going to stick with this. I wasn't going to go to university or anything like that. Lo and behold, now everybody says, was university the right thing to do? You know, you go and like, people are still successful without it. And that is the truth.
Of course. Would you go now? Like if you...
Nah. And the funny thing is...
Especially that you know now. Yeah.
Especially I know. And if I could go back, I still wouldn't go to university. I think the only thing that I really do admire and love with university is the experience and the relationships that you build, the network, the friendships. Because these are your guys for life, and it's like you grow together. And I see it with a lot of the guys that I went to secondary school with, sixth form with. Like they've got these circles, like, and you just see, man, you spent like 4 years together. Now you come out, and it's like it's beautiful to see.
Do you know what I'd love to see? Yeah, I'd love to find out like how many high-profile individuals. And by the way, high profile subjective anyway, in the first place, but high profile by society standards. How many high profile individuals does university produce? Like, let's say one university, like how many of those individuals that go there would end up doing something huge or like become these big public things?
I think that question is a good question, but not
That's I think that question is a good question.
It's a good shit. No,
You know when people go like, what's that thing? It's like, I hear what you're saying, but regardless,
Just disregards everything you just said.
but no. So that's a good question. But that thing.
fuck you, man.
Yeah, man.
No,
that question only applies to now or university in the past 5 to 7 years. Like some of the biggest names, Elon, Zuckerberg, flipping Gates and whatnot. These people went to uni, but they went to uni in 1990, whatever. That's when uni was of value. But what I want to know is how many people went to uni yesterday, or like in the last 5 years, and then done.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I want to know. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Bro, you just took my question and you.
No, I worded it in a way.
This guy's a thief.
Stole the idea.
Listen.
Repackage and resell it.
That's a broad daylight robbery, bro.
I was on AliExpress, bro.
That's like
Man, came from Amazon, bro.
Bro, that's like you taking my £10 and saying I'm going to give you £10, bro. That's exactly what you done.
No, I made it better.
That's exactly that. But you know what else I'm more interested in? I'm actually more interested in how many of these high profile people has YouTube produced.
Ooh, what comes to mind? KSI, the Logan brothers.
They went to uni.
No, YouTube.
No,
YouTube produced.
Oh yeah. I mean, Vine was a big one.
Is it fair to say that probably YouTube and Google's done more for people than university has?
The internet has.
Depend.
Ooh, yeah. You know what? Till this day, I'm fucking grateful for internet. You know,
I love it. Love the creator. What's his name again? The guy that created the World Wide Web. Whoever you are, God bless you, man. Because he's, you can literally study ACCA qualification for free because of the internet. And these are courses that cost thousands of pounds to do. So there's no excuse for you to not succeed in one way or another.
The thing I find fascinating about that is you're loving this internet thing, but this internet thing that did amazing things has also done equally fucking terrible shit.
No, but you know what? But let me be clear.
Like cryptocurrency.
Listen. Let me be clear. Let's clarify something very important. Yeah, it's not the internet that's done it. It's the people.
No, but
it's
I'm saying so its existence, because you're not thankful for the internet. You're thankful for the people that.
No, I'm thankful for the existence of it.
Okay.
And how I can utilize it
because of the good that's come from it, right?
No, because of how I can utilize it, and how some people how there's a proportion of people that utilize it for good.
Yeah, for good. Yeah,
people that utilize it for bad, and I don't really care about that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like this is something that I've been discussing with someone recently, and it's about intention and extension. So,
jeez, come on.
So I give you an example, and this, I guess you can relate this to the internet, but I'll give you the example that I used when I first discovered it. The example is I went to Old Trafford in Manchester to watch a United game. And before I went there, my dad told me, I basically told him about it. He said, I don't like going to these places, these tourist traps and whatever.
Yeah. Well, your dad said he doesn't like you going there.
Yeah, he doesn't like going himself. And
himself, okay.
Yeah. And by extension, he doesn't want me to go as well. But now I told him.
So sorry, just quickly, is he projecting on you then? Was he projecting on you?
No, projecting. He's just sharing his opinion. That's simple.
But he didn't want you to go.
No, it's not about didn't want. He's preferred because of his perspective on it. He thinks that it's valueless, which is why he doesn't want me to go. But the second reason is what's really important. He said he doesn't like supporting these big companies that are full of shit. Now this is where the perspective, the intention and extension comes in. I went to that stadium to have an experience. I support Man United. I wanted to be amongst the Man United fans. I wanted to watch a game live. That's my intention. Yeah. By extension, I'm supporting the big companies and this and giving them money, whatever. By extension, but it's your focus what's important. Because no matter what we do, we support some rich motherfucker chilling in Hawaii. No matter what we do, this podcast supports that because you post on YouTube, and anything we do, positive, negative, it supports someone that you don't want to support.
Indirectly,
but by extension. So the value is not what happens by extension, is what happens with your intention. He's looking at like, I'm going to the stadium to go watch these, to pay these people money and support them, whatever. But I'm like, no, I just want to go watch the game. We lost, which was kind of upsetting, but it was a Real Sociedad game.
Very upsetting.
Yeah, but like that's what I was thinking about. So when you go back to the whole internet thing, we love the internet. The internet's on amazing shit. And our love for it and our use of it, by extension, supports some tomfoolery. But what's our intention? What are we using it for? Where is our individual value of it? And that's what's important.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't give a shit about extension. As long as my intention is good enough.
because the extension you can't control,
Of course.
and it's in this ecosystem that we live in.
Yeah.
Anything really. I told him, by you going to Green Street and buying fruit for our family to eat, you're supporting some rich motherfucker in Dubai. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Hopefully,
I
you like
would
to believe you're supporting a poor person that's, you know, fair trade. That's
I like that. I like that. That phrase, "like to believe." I like to believe a lot.
I like to
you don't really know what's going on, innit?
But you know this, but that's why learning about how things are structured and just the processes and how things get here and all these different things is so interesting to learn, because when we start uncovering who owns, let's say, like the fruit store or whatever, the transport company. It's like things start making like a bit more like sense, because like if you look at, bro, I'll find it anyways. I don't have it here, but I feel like there's one company that owns all the drink companies, and
I've seen that.
there's like, for example, VW owns all these different car companies, like Audi, Lambo.
Kellogg's owns most of the snacks.
Yeah, it's actually, it's like all these things are. It's like, how can I describe it? They're just like branches of something else. So it's like it's like if I've got a huge company, then I go, you know what, we're gonna open like a sister company or whatever, brother company. I don't even know why that's a term.
And gender neutral company.
Gender neutral company. But anyway, listen. Just to shift that direction, actually, since we spoke about gender neutral, what's your take on the pronouns thing and all of that? Let me take all of that away. Actually, I'm taking all of that away. Just the pronouns.
Okay. I think the world is becoming incredibly more complex. It's becoming very, very complex. But I think it's also attacking anything that you might hold dear to. Because, and I think we have to get to a point whereby we just accept the realities of who we are and how we are. Because it's like, I can't, for some reason, say something without causing an offense with the pronouns thing. I might cause an offense.
So let me ask you a question on that, yeah?
Yeah.
So are you the cause of the offense, or is the receiver the cause of the offense?
I think the receiver decides whether to take offense or not. It's always their choice.
Wait, that kind of goes with the intention and extension thing as well. What is your intention in your words, and by extension, what is happening?
Exactly, because if you don't have a bad intention, but it's taken in a certain way, you said the powerful word decide. They get to decide, and that's what I believe in. I believe in empowerment in general, and I feel like we get to choose, we get to decide.
You believe, or do you like to believe?
No, I truly live by the power of empowerment. I believe that everything that we need lies within us already, and we get to decide.
What's that post that you did? You made an Instagram post a while back, and you're saying being someone that counsels people is shifting responsibility.
It's probably archived it. He's only got 3 posts.
No, you post on your story. You post on your story saying, "Oh, someone that counsels someone is someone choosing not to take responsibility for their own emotions." Saying, I don't want to respond.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. You post that on your story.
Yeah. It's
that was fucking powerful. I love that shit.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but you almost got it right.
Shifting responsibility and saying, you know what, I don't want to take control of my own emotions to respond to this. So
so it's easier to just go like,
for me.
Yeah, that's why cancel culture is quite big at the moment.
It's laziness, isn't it?
And that's the thing. What does freedom of speech mean to you?
Well, freedom of speech should mean freedom of speech, but we can't live in a society, especially in today's society, because of the hindsight we have of the past and the sorts of people that have come up and led, people into really, really dark places because of freedom of speech. We realize the power of speech. Everything is about thought and speech, right? Everything's a thought, and then your words are containers. So to regulate that, I think to some degree is necessary, because we as humans are so destructive. We can destroy with our words. So I understand it. But at the same time, who decides what to regulate or not? And what's the standards of regulating freedom of speech?
That's why I disagree with you. I think people should be able to say the maddest stuff ever if they wanted to. I think if they're not able to say it, it doesn't change them from thinking it. You know what I'm trying to say?
So free to honest.
Yeah, so free the realness, but also it's like what that does is like it creates a more authentic society where people can actually have those conversations and be able to talk about those fucking, even if if the view is like super extreme or whatever it is, they're able to talk about it, and potentially because through conversation that's how the perspective changes. Not through like some people go like, yeah, I'll beat out of them or whatever. If they beat them up, it doesn't do anything. It's just like, for some people it might even like reaffirm the views if they get beaten up or whatever it is. But
it's association as well. Like if you said a bad word and I beat you up for it, you've now associated that word to the beating, and if your ego is high enough, you're going to continue saying it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So I think like there's shit that I don't agree with that people might say, but at the same time I understand that I need to be able to process in a certain way where I don't feel a type of way about it, where I can still have those conversations with those people.
And I think that's the concern is the reason why somebody would have an opposing view is because of the inciting to violence. Like we had with the Proud Boys and the Trump supporters back in 2 years ago, whenever on the Capitol Hill siege, whatever they want to call it. It's like because of these views were being perpetuated, or they were being communicated to people, even though they did exist, and these groups, they will gather in their secret barns, on their high society, in their private lodges, but it led to violence. And these big media companies don't want to be associated with that, or they don't want to enable it at least.
So do you know what I think? I don't think it led to violence. I think people got to choose, and I think the choice was violence. And then I'll just go back to what you were saying, like people get to decide. And I feel like what people forget a lot of the times is that they get to decide that. They get to decide what the response is. But there's people that live life on an autopilot and people that fly manually. And most people on autopilot.
Most, yeah.
So, if they learn that violence is the way to answer something that they don't understand or something that they don't agree with, then that's going to be the choice they're going to go with automatically.
I just feel like saying autopilot, the concept of autopilot is just not necessarily autopilot, it's just shifting the pilot to someone else. So if a car has autopilot, you're not driving, but the satellite is now driving for you in the car. So you have your mind being autopilot is now you're not longer controlling your mind, you're allowing society to control your mind, and only the most popular thing will control it.
Well, but then that's the thing. And then if you fly on autopilot and the plane crashes, you go, I was on autopilot.
This is my fault.
Not my fault.
Shifting responsibility. This is why I love the whole thing of like taking responsibility for everything. So that I think Bob is one of the guys that told me this. He said that I'm going to take responsibility for everything. So if everything goes to shit, it's on me. But equally, if everything goes to plan, it's also on me. I'm still taking the responsibility. How high or how long taking all of it is on me.
But do you know what the maddest thing about taking responsibility is? Is that we can take every single moment, even when it's not our fault. Like even when it's like, even when we have like reasons or excuses to blame something. Like we might have a legit reason. Maybe the bus driver really is late 15 minutes. It's a good reason, isn't it? Like it's not my it's not my fault. But then if I take responsibility, then what that looks like, I could have predicted that, or I could have thought that maybe the bus driver might be late. I could have went 20 minutes earlier and got a different bus.
No, I've been doing that.
I feel attacked because I came 30 minutes late today.
Oh no! It's not.
45 minutes.
It's not. We're definitely not attacking you.
I've been doing that a lot recently. I've been like every situation I'm in, because I am familiar. I have lived a life with excuses, and you know more than anyone. So as of recent, I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm in a situation where something bad has happened, and I have a million excuses already. It's ready. It's waiting there to be used. It's waiting. So now I'm like, okay, cool. What could I have done to take responsibility? I'm trying to think like it will go deep as hell. Like it'll be like the example of 15 minutes late bus is a great example, or 45 minutes. It's cool. It's cool. Like that pre-anticipation and have a contingency. It's like seeing where can I take control. At what point on this timeline can I take control, and I'll go from there. It may be something like again, a bus being 15 minutes late is a good enough excuse for any employee. What can I do? Like that's what they say. What can I do about it? I love that phrase. That phrase is like a trigger phrase for me. Like, what can I do? You can do. There's a lot of things. I can give you 100 things you can do. It's just what do you want to do? That's the question you should be asking. What do I want to do? Clearly, you don't want to do enough to be early for that bus to overcompensate.
And then the other question as well is like, what's our limitation? It's like is bus being late our limitation? Is also the I'm just thinking of like other limitations. So for example, that's why human beings are incredible. For instance, let's say there's a strike. Yeah, let's say there's a strike of like train strike and someone's trying to get to work. Yeah. And they go, oh, there's a train strike tomorrow. I was going to be at the office, but I'm not going to come in no more. Whatever. But what responsibility looks like, it's like maybe they can get it in a different way. Yeah. Maybe they can get like different multiple buses to get there. But it's thinking it's long. But also, do you know what? It goes to the extent of like they can fucking walk there, bro, and they would still make it if they really wanted to.
You can get your
and
steps in on your
this is what
Apple
I'm
Watch.
saying. It's what's our limitation and where are we taking responsibility?
Do you know what? So this may help for anyone listening, because it's
Sorry, by the way, we kind of hijacked the.
No, this is good stuff.
no. This is the last time I'm going to turn off my mic off this. So
Nah, don't turn it off, bro.
what a habit that could be created is allowing creating your own consequences. So let's say, for example, I had to go to work at 5 o'clock and I end up there at 5:15 because the bus is 15 minutes late. Now, I'm not losing anything by going 15 minutes late. I might get one telling off. I might get told off by it, but that's it. But I found I created a consequence by saying, for every minute I'm late, I have to donate £1 to something. I have to give away £1. I throw £1 in the street. Because like it's like the same thing of like, if you had to be work at 5 o'clock and the bus was late, you'd be late. But if you had to be work at 5 o'clock and you lose out on £100 every minute you're late, you're being there 4:22,
100%.
no matter what. So it's like creating consequences. If the consequences are created for you, then that's kind of shifting responsibility. Let's see if we can find a way to create our own consequences, and that forces us to be now on time for everything and apply this kind of mindset to everything we do, allowing us to take more responsibility.
It's like the stick and the carrot.
What's that?
It's like it's a concept of kind of rewarding yourself for doing something, but obviously you can see it in the reverse form where like, this is the penalties if you don't do it. But it's like, does that shift human behavior? Because you're not doing it out of love and genuine desire of achieving something. You're doing it because of consequence and because of pain.
That is yeah. I mean, perspective. So
Yeah.
every competition ends in life.
Yeah.
I win.
You won already.
Always win.
Yeah.
But no, that is a fascinating thing. Like changing the mindset and putting more weight to achieving this task, opposed to, like, let's say, like even me, I do this all the time. Like I could have finished this a video that I had to finish yesterday, but I'm choosing to do it next week. And I'm like, okay, cool. What happens if I do it? Because I don't lose out on the money, and I don't really think about the relationship. I don't really think about the relationship with the client. So now let's create my own consequences. Let's create my own theories of what might happen because of this. And then I guess over time it becomes a part of your life that you then just do things naturally and you don't really think about the consequences despite it being there. And then that's where the passion comes in. I don't know.
That's interesting, man.
It depends on the person, I guess.
So Javier, man, what's next, bro?
It's a good question. What's next is just try and impact and influence as many people positively as possible. That's why this is family here, man, because you guys are on the same wavelength, like same mindset, same page.
This is powerful in general. Like this is close to my heart.
Yeah.
And doing this is really, like, we spoke about it, like Aladdin was like, oh, is Javier jumping on like soon? Because like he's just done an episode recently. Remember we had a conversation. I was like, yeah, like this, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Let's go again.
Appreciate that.
yeah.
I do have this little thing that bothers me, man, because you was the 53rd episode and this is now 62.
Like he likes to gap it out. Like if someone's like said, nah, like that's family. We have to get you back on, man.
Appreciate that, man.
Then again, like Alex and Sachin were on last week and they were like some of the last.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, I
And
forgot.
they give us
There's no rules in it. Like
no
basically we made up these rules in it.
But then what is it? I did actually discover this recently. Like the whole thing of no rules. We always hear no rules. But I ended up realizing no rules doesn't mean there is no rule whatsoever. There is no universal rule that we will have to follow. We get to choose our own rule. So this is our rule. Our rules. Fuck it. Number one rule. Number one. Fuck it. Number two. Nothing matters.
Yeah.
Go from there. Yes,
I got one more thing to touch on here. One more thing to ask here. What do you think about? I'm not asking you because of your color, by the way. Just I would ask anyone. What do you think about? So I've learned something recently. There's corporate companies that create these departments. They're called ED&I. So equality, diversity, and inclusion. Yeah. And what I've noticed, there's a pattern of they would hire a black person in particular just so they can. I don't know if it's a thing where they're trying to seem good or sometimes that might be the agenda behind it, but it's really, I find it really interesting that instead of looking at someone's competence, they look at someone's like background, skin color.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's like, do these companies want to hire? Because do they want to hire? And it could be different because I've seen other ethnicities leading on EDI or being recruited in NDI departments or whatever. But it's about that. It's about having somebody who can lead on the conversations because of this.
So it's like lived experience
skills,
as well.
lived experience. It matters. And I understand from the perspective of the corporates who predominant majority are white because of the European system, the Western system, which is very advanced, and they have the power. And it's like, for a long time, they've often been seen as the heroes of life in the story of life. It's like they're coming here to improve or to lead or to change and to better. So it's like, do they want to still keep doing that? Because we're saying, yeah, we've had enough of that now. Like, let's change the narrative. So, all right, we'll just give you the platforms. We'll give you what you need, and we'll get somebody who's not ethnically white to lead on that. And then you've got the flip side where it's like, yeah, but you guys, it's your problem. Racism is not our problem. It's your problem. Yeah. So you talk to your people about it. You know, it's not us. We haven't come to say, because you're white, we're going to kill you, or we're going to beat you up, we're going to bully you. We've never been the aggressor about it. We've always been on the receiving end. Yeah. So it's like, why don't you go and teach your people about, do you understand? So it's always that balance. But I think we just have to find the middle ground with it. But with EDI, I think you would often get blacks that lead on that sort of stuff. So
the reason I asked that, because I was, so one of the Gaze interviews I was watching recently, he actually spoke about it, and he referred to it as he used the term of BLM managers. Did you hear that?
BLM managers?
Yeah, Black Lives Matter managers. That's what he referred it to.
Okay.
And he was talking about these huge corporate companies that would put like someone of the same skin color, and they will put them in those positions in particular to have influence over the black communities. And they would call them, and he referred them as a term as BLM managers. Yeah. And he said it's more like, he was talking about more from a tick box point of view rather than empowerment, which I found really interesting. So I don't know which one it is personally. I'm just having a conversation. Yeah.
It's difficult. You will never fully know the intention, because whether the person is put there or not, that's a question. That's a discussion. And then the reason why they're put there or not is another question, because we're calling for representation. We're calling, and it's just simple principles. Like, you will always relate with somebody that is similar to you, no matter what color you are. If you're Asian, if you're South American, you will always, because that's what you are, and that's your tribe. You're familiar with that. So if I'm from South America and I see a South American, I'm going to naturally incline myself to that person. I have more similarities, and they can speak to me in a way that we understand.
Is that relatability thing as well?
The relatability thing. That's just human nature.
But you know what it is? But then I always go back to, this is my personal view anyways, I always go back to the roots of like, with that, but also the biggest thing that we've got in common, we're also human. You know what I'm trying to say? Beyond all the skin color and all the backgrounds and all the other, like the most common thing that we have is we're human. You know what I'm trying to say? So I always look at that, I'm like, and I think that's the most beautiful thing. And for me, that helps me just look at the world in a beautiful way as well.
That's the fundamental. More people should be like you. We're all trying to be like you, Leo. We're trying to adopt that mindset.
Listen, I don't want people to be like me, bro. On that aspect, I think on that aspect, people should be more like me when it comes to just different cultures, and that's something that I appreciate highly in life in general. Like, I don't know, I find it incredible, just like the fact that people can be different and from different backgrounds and bring different qualities is just so beautiful. Like, I think diversity is one of the most amazing things in the world.
100%. I was at a Nigerian, well, I was both Nigerian and Ghanaian, but I experienced the Nigerian culture in that wedding that I was at yesterday, and I loved it. It was beautiful, like the music and I loved it. I enjoyed it. Typically, there's this kind of rivalry of Ghanaians and Nigerians being the leaders in the West African region, and whose jollof is better and all of those. It's banter, it's jest. Yeah, we get it. But genuinely, their culture is beautiful. Do you know?
Do you know what? Something just hit my head now. I think people that are like racist or whatever, like, or discriminate against other people from different cultures, they must be very like comfortable with can't even say it, familiarity.
Familiarity, you can't say. There's always been that one word that you can never say.
I don't know, for some reason it's a tongue twister. I can say familiar. Familiarity. There you go. Boom.
Why watching us?
So they must be
help me.
listen. They must be so familiar with it. Yeah, it's like they must be so comfortable with that they don't want to like explore something different. Like, and I think that's the thing about diversity. It's like it's so incredible to like everyone's different. Yeah, if everyone was the same, it'd be boring. Like imagine if everyone was the same tomorrow. So people that are racist, they must be so comfortable with everyone being the same that when someone's different, they discriminate against them. That's crazy. That's crazy. They don't like. Yeah, they don't. I don't know. That's some. Yeah, that's mad.
You lost me still.
Bruv, just re-listen. Yeah, because I think
I'll listen on YouTube so I can get those views up. You know.
Get the views up. But yeah, if any of the audience got confused, just comment and I'll explain.
Clarify.
Explain. But yeah, cool. Like before we start wrapping up, is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Just keep up the good work, man. Like just keep it up. Everyone's on the journey. Everyone has a vision. I hope not everybody has a vision. Let me retract that. Everybody has a purpose. When I was driving here, I was thinking about it. How do you measure your worth? Because people measure it in different ways, like how much money you've got in the bank, how fit you are, how much status you have, and it's all relative things, and it's all superficial things. But the fact that you've been allowed to exist in this world means you have infinite value. Whether you believe in God or not, you have value, intrinsic value. Just that fact. So you have a purpose. Like you might not be a high profile individual. You might not even be the richest. You might not even be the smartest, but you have purpose. So find that, use that, and just enjoy this journey we'll call life.
That's powerful, man.
That's it, yeah.
You know, what's the question I start asking now, just based on that? And it's a really good question. It's like, how do you get your feeling of importance? And because he was talking about worth, and it's like, and for me, my thing is like, if show me a person and ask them how they get a feeling of importance, and I'll tell you who that person is. Because they'll be doing the actions that will make them feel important. Yeah. And it's different for every single person. Yeah, is there anything you want to promote?
I'd like to promote Beyond the Surface podcast.
Jeez.
Big up every time. Tune in, subscribe.
Well, it sounds like a good podcast. What platforms are they on?
They're on YouTube. They're on Instagram.
You know,
they're on TikTok.
Yeah. That's so convenient.
I'd like to promote the talk show that's coming next year as well.
Jeez.
In advance.
Is it a talk show? So on.
Yeah, it's coming.
What? I didn't know that.
Oh, it's gonna be incredible. But yeah, all in due time. It's cooking right now.
In the words of Flips and Jose Mourinho, don't talk too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak if I speak.
Cool. And you kind of like, I don't know, you kind of just left that message earlier, but obviously our traditional question is,
what does tradition mean to you? That's a traditional question. Breaking the 4-4.
So funny.
Aladdin's on smoke today.
Aladdin, yes.
What did I do? What did I do? What did I do?
I'm going to ask it differently, because obviously the question is, it's like, if you had a chance to say one thing, you know, to the whole world's population, what would you say? But the question now is, for people that are coming back on the podcast, is what would you say to them today in particular?
What would I say to you today?
No, to the whole world.
What would I say to what else?
What would you say to them today? Yeah, today. But the only variable in this question is today, not in general, but today. What would you say to them today?
I would say growing up is hard. It's not easy. Yeah.
It's life, eh?
You said that.
Huh?
You said that.
Bro, shut up, man.
It's life aid. That sounds like
Shut up, man. You get me? You've been on smoke this one.
No, this is a genuine question.
Shut up, bro. Shut up. On that note, you know what I'm saying? With the line is shutting up. We out, bro. But yeah, man, it was good to have you, bro. Honestly, nothing but love, man.
Always.